What is up, everybody? To Reverse here today, and we have to talk about this update to Final Fantasy 16. So apparently, the devs before stated that Final Fantasy 16 is so polished, it's so much in pristine condition right now that it doesn't need a day one patch. So this was Monday 22nd of May 2023. So let's see the difference in today's message, because the people played the demo and people were not too impressed with the performance mode, where the frames was not a constant 60, it kept dropping even as low as 30 frames per second. So a lot of people prefer just to play in the fidelity mode, but now you have a new update. Yoshi P says they will be releasing updates to improve the frame rate of Final Fantasy 16. He says currently there are areas where the frame rate drops where there is a lot of characters such as towns. They will be working on updates to improve frame rate, so please don't worry about that. So just fascinating how they are now trying to fix the frame rate. And then when I made the last video, some people in the comment section were saying, hey, this is an old build of the demo. I'm like, that don't really make sense if the game releases in a week from now. Shouldn't they want to make you play some type of updated version? I'm like, it can't be that much different from the final game if this is what they're showing you as a demo. So, as I knew it, it's like that pretty much was close to the final version. So that frame rate issue they had in the demo was prevalent in the final version. People trying to say otherwise, but nope, it was prevalent in the final version. The frame rate dropped down to like 30 frames per second in certain instances. So much so they're gonna try to patch it, completely wiping out the previous server and try to patch it, I guess, for day one people. That is great, by the way, but this goes to show that, you know, these promises they keep making. I mean, why make the promise to be good with? If you know the game has issues, don't just try to fix it if you can. So that's that. But yeah, I mean, the game was definitely great. The demo was fun. It's just that the only issue I really had was that the frame rate kept dropping down. The frame rate was so inconsistent at that point. So I mean, if they fix it, it should be no problem. Or if they don't fix it, I'm just gonna play it the 4K visual mode at that point. So, but yeah, it's kind of funny. I'm really seeing all this stuff about frame rates. People saying like, how Xbox Series S is holding back gaming, but what's the issue with these PlayStation games having issues lately? I don't really care, but it's gotta rub it into Sony guys' faces, especially who definitely bring up the Xbox Series S as holding back gaming narrative, which is completely false. Because these are PlayStation games that are only attached to the PlayStation platform, like Final Fantasy 16, Forspoken, for example. I think Returnal wasn't even at a 4K; it was like up 1080p upscale to 4K. So these PlayStation games are having issues too. So I don't know why the Series S gets all the blame for this nonsense when it's like games only on PlayStation have the same type of issues the Xbox Series S has. So just fascinating, just narratives getting debunked left and right. But I am not a heckler for frame rate. I'm not gonna raise pitchforks when the frame rate isn't that bad, because console gamers just tasted 60 frames per second this generation. Like most of the games we've been playing has been 30 frames per second, so I'm not gonna have a big uproar if we have some like these games not being at 60, they're at 30. It's like, okay, we've been playing 30 for most of the time we've been gaming on consoles. So just a food for thought right there that they're gonna fix this frame rate issue that this game was having in performance mode. So this person says it's not a lot if it's not day one. Some next level thinking right here. They didn't technically lie if they patched it before day one, apparently. So there you go. I thought it was an old build and that it was already fixed. Yeah, that's what they said, but we see otherwise. Oh boy, a delay would have helped them. We're getting a 60 FPS mode where you're getting a broken launch game at 30 FPS locked and another upcoming game locked at 30 FPS, which is not even running at 30 frames per second. Which is definitely not running on PS5 cope. Yeah, okay, let's just say if that was true. What does it have to do with the PS5? Like, why is the PS5 having issues then? If the Xbox developers are so trashed by this guy's logic, then why is the PS5 gamers having issues then? Like, explain that to me. Like, I'm glad this dude pointed that out, because it's like both these consoles are having issues if you want to go that route. So, just funny. We're talking about patches now. What patch is the Starfield getting? Oh, that's right. It's not. Once again, you can say Bethesda's super trash at making games, whatever. We know that's not true, but because they got several highly rated games on Metacritic or in general. But let's just go by the narrative. Bethesda is trash. What's the narrative with these developers who only got the PS5 to use as a tool? What's the reason why their games keep having issues? Explain that to me, then. Oh man. Clearly, Yoshi P is talking about the kind of day one that is needed to basically make the game playable, make it go. From the looks of this game so far, it is set to release and to be devoid of major glitches and bugs that will be detrimental to the gameplay experience. Okay. It sounds like performance mode won't be fixed at launch. I guarantee the media will be absolutely silent about it. Yeah. I don't know. Has media been really been speaking about Final Fantasy 16? I know people. I know like the average like YouTubers have been speaking about it, but I don't know if the media has been talking about the performance mode issues with Final Fantasy 16 because we know they didn't give Starfield a rest, but that being at 30. But I don't know if they shared the same intention with Final Fantasy 16, which has a lot less stuff than Starfield, by the way. Versus how it would go. Final Fantasy 16, at least 90 on Metacritic. Well, I'm not shocked. I mean, the game was fun for that place. I wouldn't be shocked if that game gets a high rating. Comes out to critical acclaim, one of the best games this year. That may be true though. Like it might have all these different high acclaims and high achievements right there, but what about you people who are super diehard in this whole 60 frames or nothing mentality at this point? Like, surely you just can't ignore Final Fantasy 16, right? I mean, if you're on this whole train, we can't play games that's not 60 frames per second. You can't be silent about this Final Fantasy 16 game. You know, I'm not a person who really cares that much about it. I care slightly, but it's not the end of the world if my game is not at 60. But some of you people out there, you're like 60 or no, we just don't play the game at all type of people. Hey, like, y'all can't be silent about this Final Fantasy 16 right here, which is having issues performance mode when they give you the 60 frames per second option. Yikes. They just said they were doing it, so apparently this guy is trying to put some Jedi mind tricks out there, or whatever. You realize Elden Ring had a bunch of performance issues, yet still won Game of the Year. Okay, that's true. If that is true, it has a lot of performance issues. Then why is Xbox getting so much flack then if their games have performance issues? Like I'm not taking away from what they're saying, but it's like you shouldn't get Xbox that much flack down, like because people would not shut up about the 30 frames per second in Starfield, but yet they're giving these other games passes. It seems like. Um, Yet you still don't need it to fully play the game. Good try though, hater. I mean, you don't need it, but it's like, why would you want to play a performance mode, which the performance mode isn't giving you great performance? That's kind of the whole point to it. So, I don't know. This is a whole bunch of mental gymnastics they're going through. Like, saying you don't need the patch. It's still, like, what are you talking about? The performance mode don't work. It is not doing what it's supposed to do. It's not performing as the performance mode states in the title. So, just the whole mental gymnastics Sony fanboys are going through to defend this game. When they give the Xbox game so much flack. At least they're offering a performance mode option and not forcing you to play 30 frames per second. It's like, I think the 30 frames per second, a constant 30 is way better than 60 that keeps dropping to 40, 45, 35, and 30. I'd rather have the constant 30 frames per second. At least it's not all over the place at that point. Now this PlayStation is Square Enix broken promise. Yeah, pretty much. And they can't blame the Xbox Series X for that either. Like, that's all PlayStation right there. Instead of Final Fantasy 16 Day 1 and PS Plus, it's Final Fantasy 16 Day 1 patch that makes sense, especially when the dev said it's the best. It don't need one. Sounds like a Ratchet Clank SSD situation. Yeah. We know that was a lie. So. Oh, man. They said there were no plans, but that can change later on. Okay. Yeah, people are literally just trying to downplay this news like it's not a big deal. It's like you can't be like this is not a big deal, but then you're so angry about the Starfield frames per second situation. Um, Please don't worry about it. These MFers are so damn biased. It's insane. They really are because they've been going nonstop about Starfield being 30 frames, but have no problem with playing Final Fantasy at an inconsistent 60 frames per second. Like, really? I don't understand why the studios keep passing along these lies. It's completely unnecessary. We'll still buy your products if they're good. Yeah, I'm with that same notion. Like, people are still gonna buy your products. Just be honest. It's like, why are you gonna say that? Hey, this game don't need no patches. It's just extremely polished. Then in the later date, you gotta completely change that stance, saying, "Hey, we gotta fix it because the performance mode is just awful right now." It's like, why even lie to begin with? Like, they think people are not gonna buy the newest Final Fantasy game or something. Um, I did a podcast yesterday about brand loyalty and fanboyism. LMAO. Too bad we didn't have this information yesterday. Meanwhile, Bethesda Starfield is under the Hubble telescope. Facts. They are definitely looking at Starfield with a fine tooth comb at this point. They got the Magnascope looking at Starfield imperfections, but are dead silent about this Final Fantasy performance mode situation. But yeah, I'm gonna conclude it right here. It's just fascinating. Like, once again, people are definitely biased. They're gonna defend this BS, but be super hard against Starfield situation. It's like, really, what a bunch of hypocrites. But I'm gonna conclude it right here. I think the game's gonna be great regardless, whether it does have the 60 frames per second issue or it's gonna be a consistent 30. I think the game's gonna be great regardless. So, but that is just a reminder for all you people who are super against playing games that uh 30 not 60 frames per second, and if you don't have an issue with this game, you got an issue with Starfield, you are a hypocrite. I just gotta put that out there. But definitely want to see your thoughts down below about this. Leave a like this video, and as always, thanks for watching, and peace.